Alright, so this is lesson 5.1, rational exponents. This is an overview of everything that we covered in class. When you think of rational numbers, you should think of fractions. I'm attempting this video so that way it's a resource for you. That way you can have it to watch over again if you need to go back and review anything. First thing to review is properties of exponents. These are some of the things you should have learned in Algebra 1, should remember from Algebra 1. If we multiply like bases, we add the exponents. Much the same as if we were dividing like bases, we subtract the exponents. Now if the bases are not the same, then there's no deal. Anytime we have a power to a power, you're multiplying those exponents. So if it was a to the second, all to the third, it would be a to the sixth. If we have negative exponents, to change it to a positive, you move it from the numerator to the denominator, or vice versa, from the denominator to the numerator. Anytime you change it from the top to the bottom, you change the sign of the exponent. Okay, a little bit more review. If we have a negative a squared, that means negative a times negative a. Negative times negative is a positive. If the negative is out front, the 2 does not affect it, so the negative would stay out front. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. And our rational exponents here, a to the 1 over n, means this, the nth root of a, just much like the cube root of 8, is 8 to the 1/3. What times what times what equals 8, or x to the 1/3. If you notice, I multiplied or took both sides to the 3rd power. It cancels out the 1/3, so x to the 3rd equals 8, so we know this must be 2. Takes us back to some of the things that we need to know. I'd make sure to copy this chart down, have it on a note card or maybe in the side of my notebook, something that you can reference easily. Alright, so here's a lot of the common ones. Cube roots up to 10 cubed. 2 to the 4th, 2 to the 5th, those are some common ones. 3 to the 4th, 5 to the 4th are some common ones. X squared, we reviewed these whenever we simplified square roots many times. Just remembering what those are. Okay, knowing all these without a calculator would be really useful. Okay, for whatever reason it's retyping that list. I already wrote this up and I copied it over, that way I didn't have to copy it down again, so you can watch it twice. I'll slow it down here in a second once we get to the new stuff. Alright, so this is what some of the problems might look like. It says find the indicated real nth root of a. Okay, so n equals 3, a equals negative 216. That gives us the cube root of negative 216, which is negative 6. Maybe we have the n equals 4, a equals 81. So this is the 4th root of 81. So that's 3, and we had that up on our things to know list. Again, that's 81 to the 1/4 power. Up above, that was negative 216 to the 1/3 power. Okay, here's another rational exponent. We have 3/2. Okay, part of our rules for exponents that we need to remember is a power to a power we're multiplying, so we can also take those apart. 16 to the 1/3 or excuse me, 16 to the 1/2 to the third power, or we got 16 to the third power to the 1/2. My suggestion is you make it smaller before you make it bigger. Okay, in other words, 16 to the 1/2 power we know is 4, because the square root of 16 is 4. 4 to the third, 64. We get those from our things to know list. Okay, versus if we tried doing 16 to the third to the 1/2, I don't know 16 to the 1/3, or excuse me, 16 to the third in my head. I'd have to grab a calculator. Okay, so it's much easier to break it down, make it smaller first before we make it bigger. Okay, the next video will be more examples of rational exponents.